Hey everyone, what you're about to listen to is a slice discussion from the podcast that my friend John and I do called Hi Mom. We discuss various things, but we'll usually have a main topic. This is the main topic for that episode. If you want to listen to the full episode, we are available on podcast hosting apps like Apple, Spotify, and many more. I'll leave links in the description so that you can pick and choose where you want to listen to us for the full episodes. Thank you, and enjoy. Back to the Future, man. I think that this is one of my favorite movies of all time. I would highly just say it. I think this movie is perfect. The movie kind of starts off a little bit slow, but there's so much information in that opening scene that, like, sure, it's slow, but there's so much to look at too. Like, there's not, I think it takes maybe about like 5 minutes before like dialogue is actually said or spoken.
Yeah.
But like, if you're watching, you're observing, like, it's all information that will somehow come back into the movie.
Yeah, it's I'd be very hard pressed to disagree with you on saying that it's a perfect movie.
You're what? You're hard pressed to disagree with me?
I'd be very hard pressed to disagree. Yes, because so like I said, I had never watched it, and for whatever reason, anytime I would see it on TV, I would just skip it.
Mm-hmm.
It never caught my attention.
And a lot of people don't. Like, a lot of people don't. When I tell people that I mean, there's people who just haven't seen the movie and it's because, like, yeah, those movies never called me. And that's always the reason why. But, like, the people who have seen it, they're like, yeah, it's a really good movie. I mean, they won't say it's their favorite because it's probably not. But, like, the people who haven't seen it, the only excuse that they have is that it just never called them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely, I'm one of those cases. And so I would always skip it every time I would see it on TV. But man, I really regretted not watching it before.
Well, I mean,
it's a great movie.
You got to watch it in the theater for the first time, so I mean, I guess
that's right.
So
I did.
Yeah. Oh my God. If I hadn't made it obvious, my girlfriend rented out a private movie theater so that we can watch Back to the Future. It was like, I just want to make sure I clarify that information, and that's why I was so emotional, and I'm so happy that I got to watch Back to the Future.
It was a lovely gesture, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I want one of those before, like, The Fifth Element.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, that'll be my go-to movie.
The Fifth Element.
Yeah, man, that opening scene, it was just so 80s.
The whole movie is 80s, dude.
Yeah, it was like a little Rube Goldberg machine going on.
Like
opening, like all the automated machines that Doc Brown has.
Yeah, like I love how oversized they all were too. Like when he's actually in the past, and when he encounters when Marty encounters the past version of Doc, and he has that contraction over his head that it's supposed to be, a mind reader. That thing is oversized as shit, and it doesn't work.
He's just guessing everything.
You come from a faraway place. Yes, that's true. You're trying to sell me a subscription of time or whatever. No. You know what this means? What? It means that this thing doesn't work. Oh man.
Yeah, that was a great scene.
Yeah.
Dude,
go ahead.
No, we'll get to it. Keep going.
No. I wanted to hear what you were gonna say.
Well, one of my favorite scenes was when Marty dresses up in the radiation suit, goes to his dad's room, and he's like, "Greetings, Earthling. My name is Darth Vader, and I come from the planet Vulcan." Dude, I was dying. He mixed two of the most contentious sci-fi universes. Like, at least in the 80s, I'm pretty sure both those fandoms were, like, so against each other.
Was it Star Trek?
Star Trek and Star Wars.
Okay. I mean, I figured it was Star Trek, but I haven't seen enough Star Trek or any Star Trek for that matter to know. No. Yeah, I mean, I respect the franchise. I got nothing against it. I just haven't personally sat down and watched it.
You should at least watch the new movies. I don't know if they hold up for older Trekkies, but they're great. Cool. That was my introduction to the universe. The newer movies with Chris Pine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great scene. The dad is fucking scared shitless out of his mind. But okay, so I have a script in my archive somewhere that it was just basically me going on about how how I feel this movie is so tightly written, everything just feeds off of each other. If there's a reference or there's a point that's made or something is said, it's more likely a setup for a payoff later on. Everything. Anything just as casually as the dad telling him, hey, back in the day, this was all all of this was excuse me,
pasture.
Yeah, that it was all barely getting developed. And then Doc Brown telling the same thing to Marty when they were at the JCPenney parking lot. And he's like, oh yeah, no, this was all like an empty field back in the day. And yeah, sure enough, when he goes to the past, he ends up in a freaking farm. It's everything plays off of each other. There's an opening scene with the guitar where it shows you that he can play guitar, so that at the end when he's playing Johnny Be Good, it's that he can get down the way that he did. And it's all for the and it was all for the joke of being like, I guess you guys aren't ready for this one. Yeah.
That's a great fucking joke, dude.
Yeah.
It's such a great scene.
Yes.
Everybody's just so quiet. He's riffing some fucking metal heavy guitar.
Yeah, and by the time that this movie comes out, by the time that, that is done, that's par for the course. That's rock and roll itself, but in the 40s or whatever time this movie comes out, I think it was the 40s.
The 50s.
It was the 50s? Okay.
It was the 50s.
It was the 50s? Oh, it was 30 years ago. I'm sorry. I don't know why I had in my head that it was the 40s, but in the 50s...
if it was the 40s, they would all be in war.
That's true. That's true. It was the 50s.
History.
And, yeah. Well, they were all high schoolers at the time, but yeah, still. And even something as small as the mom telling the story of how they met, how they fell in love. It's just so that you can find out that the dad was peeping on her, and she fell in love with him because the grandpa hit him with the car. And I just love the joke where he calls the wife and he's like, I hit another one of those kids. Oh man. And the mom telling Marty oh, when I was a kid, I would never sit in a car with a boy. And it's just so that when they finally get to the car scene, she's there and she is so much more I guess active than than she lied about in the future.
Yeah. In the future she was very prudish, very what's her daughter's name?
I don't remember.
Oh shit. Let's call her Lucy. Fuck it.
Okay.
She's like, Lucy, in my day we would never park alone with a boy in a car. We never did that. Or things like that. She would talk trash about Marty's girlfriend. Yeah. She didn't like her.
Yeah. and I think honestly, I haven't quite figured it out, but I'm guessing that maybe she was like that. Maybe she did grow up that way. And Marty being the one that gets taken inside the house instead of George. Yeah, George. Instead of George, I think it's what brought out that side of her. Because, the whole point of the movie, or the whole story of the movie, is basically how this boy saved his parents' lives and made his life better. And, managed to save the doctor, too. And
man, they really did improve their lives.
Yeah, like because they come back from the future, or he gets back to the future, and he, the parents, like, they're more playful and they're more intimate when when he gets back, when they come out or when they arrive. The brother, he's in he's not working at a pizza place, he works at an office, and the daughter, or the sister, she gets boyfriends now. And so, like, yeah, it's all about how he improved his parents' lives by he being the one that pushed his dad out of the way of getting hit by the car.
And that's when everything went wrong. But I mean, it did lead to, like, him basically not forcing, but catalyzing a way for his dad to, like, basically grow a spine and stand up to Biff.
Oh, yes. I mean, it was unintentional, but, like, the end results, it's kind of like it, I guess, basically justify the means, because he grew the spine. He was able to stand up to his bully. Yeah. And the bully was doing something not okay.
Dude. I mean, should we say it? I'm pretty sure people have seen this movie.
Sure, if you want.
It was super rapey vibes, dude.
Oh yeah.
And by vibes, I mean like about to.
Yeah, he was in the midst of it, and she was definitely like, "Oh, save me."
Yeah. I mean,
did it make you uncomfortable?
It made me a little uncomfortable. I think I was more uncomfortable when Marty was in the car with her.
Oh, you're supposed to be.
Yeah, dude, that was super cringy for me. No, yeah. I feel like the scene was it was bad, but like it wasn't not bad, but I feel like it's on par with the times. Because back then, dude, people were not PC at all, so that shit happened a lot.
Yeah. But also, I think the thing is that, like, I think we've become this way because our storytelling has become more nuanced. One of the reasons that people love Thanos so much is because it's he's doing a bad thing, but in his head he believes he's trying to do good, And back then,
yeah, don't get me started on that, because they never really go in depth about why he's doing it.
Yeah, but
or at least they don't follow the comic book storyline. So let's leave that one for another podcast, because I have issues with that.
Okay, well, I'm not really trying to get into Thanos, but the point is that, like, he has more nuanced reasons for why he wants to do what he does.
Yeah.
Okay, and back then it was more black and white. It was like, okay, Marty is the good character. Biff is he's the bad guy. He's the bad guy. He's the villain.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he doesn't need a reason for why he's the villain. They don't give him a backstory for why he is the way he is. It's kind of like, have you watched Cobra Kai?
Nope.
No? Okay, so I mean, if you watched The Karate Kid, Johnny Lawrence, he's the same way. He was just a bad guy for the sake of being the bad guy. He's an 80s villain, like, through and through. They don't give him a backstory. They don't try to make you sympathize or empathize with him by any means. But by the time that Cobra Kai comes around, because of the way storytelling has developed, he is given a backstory, and you see why he is the way he is in retrospect. So you can watch Cobra Kai and you find out, like, oh, he's a bad character during the filming or during the time of the Karate Kid because of X, Y, and Z. And so you can take that to watch the Karate Kid, and you can kind of fill in the gaps and maybe make it more a nuanced view on it. But at the time, if you're watching Karate Kid alone, you don't know. And it doesn't matter, because it's not important. The point is that you're supposed to watch the Karate Kid, beat his bully.
Yeah. No, I have heard, like, really good reviews about the show. People are really enjoying it, like, sort of bringing back memories, especially if they grew up they watched the Karate Kid as kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like for sure, older people are enjoying this little throwback.
Oh, it's definitely a show for the older and for the new generations. But but taking it back to Biff, he's just another 80s villain. You don't need to know why. And actually, if you ever get around to watching part 2, you actually like part 2 is really cool, and I don't want to spoil it for you because part 2 is an experience in itself. I don't think that it's as good as part 1. I think, like I said, I think part 1 is perfect, but I think in part 2 you can kind of start seeing like you can start seeing a little bit of flaws in the storytelling, but nonetheless, it's still a really cool movie. I don't want to say more than that, but you should watch it. But anyways, at some point,
I mean, I'm definitely it's definitely in my list now. Like parts 1 and 2 and 3. I mean 2 and 3.
2 and 3, yeah.
Yeah, because I really enjoyed this movie. I'm pretty sure I do remember seeing like parts of part 3, because it's like it's Western theme, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was to the towards the end, because I remember the train and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta go back and rewatch part 3 too, but Netflix took them off. But anyways, just to finish my thought really quick, in part 2 we actually get to see Biff in his home life.
Yeah.
And I mean, but they don't do what you would expect, like how I just explained Johnny Lawrence and Cobra Kai, where they try to empathize the character or sympathize the character. They don't do that with Biff. Like, he's just a shitbag of a character all the way through, and it's never, you're never supposed to kind of feel for the character. He's just a villain through and through,
and you're supposed to hate him.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I forgot why I went on that tangent or that whole like rant, but
Biff is a villain, and his actions shouldn't be. They should be repudiated, but they shouldn't be looked at it with magnifying glass to find details, because he's just a villain.
Yeah.
Is that a good summary?
Basically, pretty much.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, man. What's your favorite scene? Is it that Darth Vader one?
Yeah, for sure. And then I like the part when Marty's talking to Doc, and he's telling him how much power he produced with the plutonium, and he's like 1.2 gigawatts. Oh my god, Marty! He freaks out because it's like this is the 50s, and that's unheard of.
Yeah.
Especially in like such miniaturized dimensions that he's using the DeLorean. Yeah, that part was funny. One of my favorite Biff quotes, talking about Biff, when he's like, "Why don't you make like a tree and get out of here?
Get out of here."
It took me a while to realize what he was trying to say.
Really?
Yeah. I had to go back and think about it, and I was like, "Oh, leave!"
Yeah. Yeah, Biff isn't very smart.
No.
I think in part 2 they actually addressed that whole quote. But I'll wait for you to check that out for yourself. Yeah. What I wanted to say? I don't know, man. As far as my favorite scene, I think it would have to be. I don't know, man. I don't know. I just love the movie through and through. Like, yeah, it's a great movie. I don't think that the movie has any dull points. Do you feel that way?
The first 10 minutes maybe, but that's just because it's build up, and then after that everything gets great, man.
Yeah.
I definitely wasn't expecting the terrorist. I'll tell you that much. Dude, it has never come up in conversation. I know what the movie is about.
Yeah.
Before I watched it, right? I knew who Doc Brown was. I knew who Marty McFly was. I knew it had something to do with his parents.
Yeah.
Nobody ever fucking mentions a terrorist.
And I love that. I love that because in those first 10 minutes where it's slow, you get the news broadcast where the news anchor is saying, plutonium has been stolen by these Libyan terrorist group, and then you immediately cut and you see. Well, I don't know. Well, it's actually a really long shot. It's a really long runner. It's a shot that just continuously goes. There's no cuts. There's no in betweens or anything. Like, it doesn't cut to anything.
No.
But it eventually pans down to underneath the bed, and you see the plutonium, which was just,
you see the case. Yeah.
Yeah, which is like, oh shoot! Without knowing who Doc Brown is or anything, you already know that he's the one that stole it. Or at least he aided in them stealing it. However, whatever. Like, you know that he's gonna have it, and when he ends up having it, he's like, "Oh yeah, no, I stole it from them," and he tells you how he tricked them and stuff. And so it leads into them attacking, and like I said, everything just builds off of each other. But anyways, I think I keep going on about that, but easily my favorite part of the movie, that everything just plays into each other.
Yeah, it's great. Like, it's great build up.
Mm-hmm.
Because I always question, like, how did he get in the time machine and go back in time?
Mm-hmm.
Like, was he just curious or anything? But I mean, this answered the question better than I could have. Because
yeah,
he was panicking. It was just an emergency. He got out of there.
And
it was great.
And the movie even goes as far as to show you that he can definitely drive, because he talks about how he wanted to borrow the car from the dad, and how he was planning on taking it up to take the girlfriend, on a getaway and stuff. And so, like, there's not even like oh, how would he even drive it? He's in high school. Oh, the answer is he knows how to drive. like it's that simple. But
it's just straightforward.
Yeah. There's a John Mulaney joke on Back to the Future. If you haven't heard it, I definitely recommend you go and check that out. Because it's the joke is basically like, hey, Back to the Future is kind of weird, huh? you guys wanna imagine what that pitch was like, right? And he tells like what he imagines the pitch for Back to the Future is, and it's pretty funny. I definitely recommend you go check that out.
Yeah, you're gonna put it in the show notes.
Yeah, I'll look for it. I'll throw it in the show notes. Yeah.
Thinking about it, I think my second favorite scene was definitely the guitar scene.
The guitar scene, the Johnny B. Good?
Yeah, Johnny B. Good, but then he goes on the freaking just epic solo that nobody enjoyed.
Yeah, man. That scene, I think that scene is even better if you... I don't even want to say.
Just say it.
No, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it.
Peer pressure. Peer pressure.
No.
Pressure. Peer pressure. Peer pressure. No? Nothing?
No, man. I don't...
Is it negative?
I really don't want to say. Like, you'll know when you know, but it's fine. I'm gonna leave it there.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what, man? I think what I liked was at the end where you don't know if he's going to actually make it. Yeah. Like how it like just puts you at the edge of your seat, and then like everything that's going wrong is going wrong. And he like they have a deadline, they have a timeline by like he has to be passing through that wire cable by a certain time in order to make it back home. And all the wires keep getting disconnected, and he but prior to that, Doc Brown has been really resistant to knowing anything about the future. On multiple occasions, Marty keeps trying to inform him of how he is gonna die in the future. And because of like what he went through, and you know what, man, I'll get to it. But how he like was so resistant, but because he helped Marty get through it, he went ahead and took a chance, and he was able to put the letter back together, and it was like, don't open until 1984 or whatever. This is something that they play through with the entire trilogy. like the whole like we know what's gonna happen in the future, so let's go ahead and write a letter, but you're not allowed to open it until said year. And I missed it. I missed it my first couple watches, and I caught it this time. And I'm like, oh shit! Like I knew he did the letter, but like I don't know, it never clicked for me. And I'm like, oh, knowing what happens in the trilogy, like that's a pretty cool trope. I think it's pretty cool that they thought of it like in this first movie. It's not something that came afterwards. But I was gonna say like, what a what a so not Rick thing to do, and help and help this kid that you are eventually gonna meet. Get back to his time, because it's kind of like the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And on top of that, like knowing that he was the one that created the time machine, like I think that's what kind of pulled him in. But like I think that he just kind of grew a soft spot for Marty, and he's like, I'm gonna help him. And I just like, I'm really happy that Doc Brown is such a sweetheart that he'll help him in any timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at the end, he literally goes back and he's like, "It's your kids."
Yeah.
He wants to help him out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's crazy because like, that ending, it was supposed to be just like a gag ending, kind of like haha, this is kind of funny, right? That like immediately the next day he has to go to the future, and because it was only supposed to be the one movie, but yeah.
You know what I found fun? What I always where anytime there's something in time involved, there's some kind of time travel.
Yeah.
Every time that something like that comes up, I'm like, dude, you have time. You can wait like 1 or 2 days, and then you can go later. You're still gonna end up at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Were you thinking about that, like when he went back to the future, and to try and stop the the shooting? Is that what you're thinking?
The shooting?
The Libyan attack. The terrorist attack.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the entire time. I was like, why did you only go back
10 minutes?
Why did you only go forward like 20 minutes before? You could have given yourself an hour, 2 hours.
He thought 10 minutes would be enough. But he had forgotten that he was having problems with the starter.
Yeah, but still.
I mean, he thought it was enough. like it's supposed to. It's like the whole point of it is to keep you at the edge of your seat. Like I know you're thinking about it, and like, oh, why didn't he give himself more time? It's because he didn't think he needed it.
No, I get that, but I think it's just because I've watched too many movies. So like when situations like that arise. In my head, it's like, just be cautious. Just be extra cautious.
What is that saying? Like, is it Occam's razor? That like
Occam's razor.
Yeah.
All
anything that goes wrong could go wrong, or something.
No, that's Murphy's Law.
Oh, Murphy's Law. Okay.
Occam's razors. I believe the simplest answer is usually the correct one.
Okay. Well, no, not that one. I'm talking about the Murphy's Law.
Yeah. No, it's funny because I think Occam's razor has an opposite. When it's like Hickham's dictum.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like it's usually the more difficult. Sorry, it just came to my mind. But yeah, Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Yeah, and I guess that's basically how you.
That's definitely this movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, through and through.
Yeah.
But I mean, it all works out in the end.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you agreed to wanting to watch this or talk about it on High Mom. I mean, it kind of worked out.
Like I said, even with that I told you about, like, what didn't give him some more time or anything, like it was still a great movie. Like, it did not take away from it whatsoever.
Yeah. Cool, man. Cool. I think I'm pretty much tapped out. I don't I don't have a favorite scene. I think that the movie is pretty much perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess the final thing that I want to say, I really loved the way that Doc was cringing when when he went with him to the school. and he realizes how much the mom has the hots for him.
Yep.
Oh man, Doc Brown's face.
His face. Yep.
He's just like.
I mean, he's aware of the situation, so imagine like if I was cringing out here, outside the freaking movie.
I'm just glad that there was somebody who was. I'm just glad that there was an audience surrogate. You know, that there's somebody there that knows what's going on and he could cringe with us.
Yeah. Thank God for that.